It's October 30th. This is the Legit Betting Edge podcast, episode number 7. It is Friday morning. I'm with my name is Brian Benito. I'm with my partner, Scott Johnson. Scott, how are you this morning?
I'm doing good, Brian. Looking forward to a big weekend of football and kind of look at my wounds from last night, the Thursday night football game. I was on the wrong side. I had Carolina money line, and going back, and you never really lose. You're always learning, right? I mean, going back and looking at that game, Atlanta probably was the right side of that game, but I just had a hard time putting my money on a team that just finds ways to lose. And if you look at the game last night, they tried to lose again. I mean, they missed an extra point. They keep it a one-score game. They've got a 3rd and 17. They give up a bomb to DJ Moore. I mean, Carolina, I guess they were just that bad last night, and Atlanta found a way to win that game. So they probably were the right side last night. Looking back at it, probably shouldn't have done anything on that game. I probably should have just stayed off it altogether. It's two mediocre football teams and an Atlanta team, which is probably the right side, just a team that doesn't know how to win. So moving on, going on to tonight and this weekend.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I didn't put a play on it. We went on the Twitter chat, obviously, and I leaned Atlanta, so that was the right side. But just a lean, when you get on a chat, you want to give your opinion on the game. That's all I had. Obviously, two teams that are heading down into the gutter. But really, I think the Panthers were just tired. They got up for the Drew Brees event. They came up short in that game, and I think they were just 4 days later they got to play again. I think Carolina is the better team. But they just couldn't come over the edge last night. But Atlanta did try to give that game away. You are right. That being said, we got college football starting tonight. I know we're going to go over a bunch of games for tomorrow. Let's go right into the game-by-game analysis. I think we got 10 games today. Is that right?
We do. And okay. We're going to start with Texas at Oklahoma. Texas getting 3.5. The total in this game sitting at 59 currently, and Oklahoma State I like in this game. I'm not going to do anything play-wise on this game, but I like Oklahoma State. The reason I like Oklahoma State is different than other Oklahoma State teams. I like their defense. I think their defense is going to get enough stops in this game. I mean, Texas, they can light up the board on offense, but that Texas defense, I don't think is going to be able to stop the rushing game of Oklahoma State. I think Oklahoma State will control this game. I mean, the hook does scare me there, but if I'm going to do anything on this game, I like the Oklahoma State side. I like that rushing attack, and I do think the defense gets enough stops. They looked really good against Iowa State. So my lean here is I like Oklahoma State minus 3.5. I don't really have a feel on the total. That total scares me because I think Oklahoma State might be able to dominate possession a lot with their rushing attack. So if I'm doing anything on this game, I like Oklahoma State minus 3.5.
That's funny you say that. Here's the thing. Oklahoma State played Iowa State, and Iowa State's a very good team, and they played them strong, held them last week, pretty much dominated the game from start to finish as far as controlling it. They were never out of control of that game. And when you see a team doing that, generally you give them the nod the next week. Texas is on the other side. They won last week, but they're up and down right now, and they do get up for games like this, big games, but can they get over the top on Oklahoma State? I'm not sure. Oklahoma State stays at home. They don't leave. They're comfortable. I expect another good game out of Oklahoma State. I lean Oklahoma State minus 3.5. I think this total is, it seems close to me. I would lean under possibly on this. I know it fluctuated, went down to 58.5. It's back up to 59, opened at 60, I believe. So it's pretty steady. It's not doing much. I don't know that it'll do much. If I was going to play the under, if I was going to play the total, I would play the under. But I do lean Oklahoma State just like you. Not sure I'm going to pull the trigger on this. I see other games on the board, actually, so I probably will not. But that's my opinion on this game.
Yeah, and you always have Tom Herman, the unranked team going into a top 10 team. He seems to always covers those games. So that's one of the little trends to this that's kind of keeping me off of this game. But I do think Oklahoma State's the better team. So I like Oklahoma State minus 3.5.
He can't get up for small games, but he can get up for big games.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right. Our next game is going to be Georgia at Kentucky. Georgia laying 18 here and a total of 42.5. And when you look at that in college football, your eyes kind of open. But when you look at this game, I think that's too many points for this game. I mean, Georgia's defense is elite, and this Kentucky defense is really good too. This Kentucky defense is one of the better defenses in the SEC. And Georgia goes into Alabama. They had a week off. They had a week to kind of stew and lick their chops for this game. But I don't see a lot of points being scored in this game. That 18 is a lot. I'm looking for like a 24-10 game here, maybe 27-10. I don't even know if Kentucky can get to double digits against this Georgia defense. So I lean the under in this game, even at 42.5. I know it'll probably be nail biting every time they put points on the board here, but these are two good defenses. That Georgia offense, they've got a quarterback that's just basically a game manager. They got an okay running game. They can throw the ball okay, but this Kentucky defense is a good defense. So I don't think Kentucky threatens Georgia here. I think Georgia wins the game easily by 18. I don't know that I can lay 18 points, but I'm leaning on the under in this game. If I do anything, that is where I'm going to go in this game under. Like I said, I'm looking for a 24-10, 27-10 game, Georgia to win it.
Listen, I like what you're thinking on the under. This game smells under, okay? It smells under. You have Kentucky who can force turnovers but cannot get the ball in the end zone. They just can't score. Georgia coming off a bye, right? They played Bama, and that's a disappointment. Now can they get up for this Kentucky game? Maybe they can, but then Kentucky, again, will slow a team down. They won't capitalize, but they will slow a team down. Look, the game opened at 15. If I'm not mistaken, it's bet up by the public to 18. I don't think they're going to cover the 15. I see Kentucky staying inside the number, maybe a 10, 11-point game, maybe. That's what I saw in my numbers. But the fact that this thing has moved so drastically really frightens me. So I'd be frightened to play Kentucky, even though I just said it. I smell an 11-point game. But I do like the under in this game. And I think 42.5, even though it's a low total, it will go under.
Yeah, and the clock is going to continue to move in this game because Kentucky loves to run the ball. They've got 3 running backs that they can put in that rotation, and Georgia, they love to run the ball too. So I see a clock running here. I don't see a lot of points, maybe some field goals, but like I said, I'm kind of with you. I smell 24-10, 27-10. I just don't think Georgia. That 18 scares me. I just don't think they can get to the 18. But I'm off the side completely here. The total is what I'm looking at.
One more thing. Look, Kentucky's not ready to win a game right now. They're just not ready to win a game. So just know that. But again, so that's
Yep.
Just a final thought.
All right, our next game is going to be Northwestern heading to Iowa. Northwestern's getting 2.5. The total here 46.5. My thoughts on this game. I like Northwestern in this game. I like the 2.5, and I think Northwestern's the better team here. I'm probably going to sprinkle the money line just a little bit here. A couple things that I looked at. Pat Fitzgerald. His record against the spread as an underdog is 51-33, and on the road as an underdog, 44-28. So that's a couple trends. The coach, being an underdog, I like that. I like those stats. The road team in this series is 4-1 against the spread in the last 5. Iowa is 2-4 against the spread. Their past 6 is a favorite, and the under is 11-4 in the past 15 meetings between these two teams. So traditionally, when these two teams get together, there's not a lot of points scored. But this Northwestern team, I think is good. I like their offense. I think that Iowa is going to struggle to score. I think the wrong team's favored here. I like Northwestern. I'll take the 2.5 and probably going to sprinkle the money line total. We have that trend of these games going under here, but I don't really have a feel for the total here, so I'm going to stay off that. But I'm on the Northwestern side here, plus 2.5.
Yeah, I agree. Super tight game for sure between these two teams. It's going to be close. It's going to be a low-scoring affair. You might see a 24-20 game. You might. And it would come in under, which would be, what I would expect. So I'm not betting the game because, I looked at it and the numbers just didn't. It did scream under, but I just can't get a gauge on what team's going to win. I couldn't do it. I wanted to play Iowa is what I wanted to do. I couldn't get that to happen. I couldn't get myself to see that. So therefore I'm off the game. Northwestern, you're right. Look, if it is an Iowa win, if Iowa wins, it's a very close game. This might be a game that you tease Northwestern up in just for something I would do if I was going to do it. Maybe you tease Northwestern up with an Oklahoma State down, something like that. Just if you're looking for some action, something small. But that's how I feel about this game. Not super involved. I didn't see a whole bunch, so I wasn't really doing a deep dive on it.
All right. Let's go to our next game. It's going to be Oklahoma at Texas Tech, another Big 12 game. Oklahoma, laying 14.5 here against Texas Tech. And the only thing I can look at in this game is we got 2 air raid offenses and two teams that can't play defense. The total, I'm surprised the total's under 70. I just think there's going to be points in this game. I think Oklahoma wins the game. I don't know that they can win it by more than 2 touchdowns, but I think there's going to be a lot of points scored. I think Oklahoma's probably going to get to the 40s, maybe even 50s here, and Texas Tech probably ends up somewhere in the 30s. So if I'm doing anything in this game, I'm looking at the total. I'm going over. I think there's going to be 70 plus. I think they're going north of 70 plus in this game. And that's, I mean, really my breakdown of this game just comes to that. Just 2 good offenses, 2 bad defenses, and I think lots of points to be scored in this game.
I saw that same thing. I saw a lot of points being scored. Texas Tech got it together last week, got the offense rolling, and Texas Tech stays home. They're going to play another comfortable game. Are they going to get inside that number? I don't know. It seems to be begging for Texas Tech money. So I don't know about that, but I would side with you on the over. I think that's a feasible number. It's a high number right there, but I think it does get in the 70s. And I'll take another look at it, actually, because what you're talking to me right now validates what I was thinking. So I didn't have a bet on it, but I'll look a little closer on it a little later. But I lean over on it. I was leaning Texas Tech, but the 14.5 seems like it's begging for Texas Tech money. I don't want to give them my money, so I may not play that. I'd go on the
Understandable.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't. Like I said, Oklahoma's their defense finds a way to get enough stops to win games. I just don't know that they can, win by 2 touchdowns here. But again, like I said, I'm not going to put money on Texas Tech if I do anything on the over here. All right, we're going to go to our next game. I'm going to let you lead off here because I saw you did something on Twitter with this game, and that's LSU at Auburn. LSU favored by 3, laying 3 here, and the total 65. So I'm going to let you go ahead and start here.
Sure. LSU, look, they pulled it together against South Carolina last week at home. They scored some points. They were in rhythm. Never out of control in that game. Dominated that game. I expect that to translate to going on the road and into Auburn. And I think they're a better team than Auburn. It's just that simple. So they go into Auburn, get their stuff together, and I think that they win this game by 6 points, maybe a touchdown. I think there's a lot of points scored. I think Auburn gets on the board a lot. I think this is a back and forth, scoring game. I think a lot of points get on the board early. 65 might be low. I'm definitely over in this game. I see 70 or more, 72 points or more in this game from what I handicap. So I'm looking LSU and over, and if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But and I've been wrong before, but I do see both of that for this game.
Yeah, and I'm with you with LSU. I mean, I think LSU is the better team here. I know they're bringing in the freshman quarterback TJ Finley, and I feel kind of bad for Brennan, but I understand what they're doing. They're not going anywhere this year, so why not get this freshman in there and let him start seeing some SEC play and move forward with him. The years to come. But yeah, I think LSU is just an unstoppable offense. I mean, I don't think LSU's, they seem like they can score at will. Now, can they stop? And Auburn might as well be Notre Dame because they've got touchdown Jesus on their side this year. I mean, they easily could be 1-4. They got the fumble spike game against Arkansas where they pull that out 2018. They've got the ball hitting the finger on the kickoff, where, they shouldn't have won that game. It's like,
not this week.
Yeah, no, exactly. So it's like when is it going to, finally collapse against these guys? And, with the SEC, with, fans not being in the stands, I don't really look at home field being a big deal here. So I like LSU big in this game. I really think that they're going to handle Auburn. Bo Nix he might as well throw blindfolded because that guy throws into more coverage than, Seth Williams is a great wide receiver and bails him out a lot because he can go up and, make plays. But other than that, Bo Nix for me, is just average at best. And he tries to make plays. I mean, it's not because he's not trying, but he just makes bad decisions. I think LSU's defense here is going to get enough stops. And I don't think Auburn can stop this LSU defense. So the total, I will say the under is 14-6 in the last 20 in this series, but I'm kind of with you in this game. I think I think LSU is going to pull away late. I think they're going to win by double digits, but I think it's going to be a high scoring game because both these defenses are struggling.
Well, when you throw that many, when you throw blindfolded, you throw picks. So
Yep.
You give LSU starts in deep in Auburn territory. That's how a game goes over like that.
Yeah. All right. So let's go to another Big Ten matchup: Ohio State at Penn State. And this is Ohio State, Ohio State, Ohio State. And the reason I love Ohio State here is we know what happened in Wisconsin with the COVID. That game's already been canceled. And because the Big Ten waited so long to get this season going, they don't have a lot of room. So Ohio State, through no fault of their own, they might run into cancellations. They may not get that many games. They might only get 5 games, 6 games to prove a point to get into a playoff here. So I think they're going to take every opportunity. There's not going to be any mercy at all. And every time that this team has a chance to make a statement, they're going to make it. This might be a game in the first half, but I just don't think Penn State can handle Ohio State. Ohio State pulls away in the second half, and I think they win big. I think they win by 20+ in this game. You're not going to have the whiteout, at Penn State. You're not going to have the fans there. So I think Ohio State they look like a machine right now. I don't think Penn State's going to be able to hang with them. Penn State just played a really big game against Indiana and, lost that game in overtime on that 2-point conversion. So I think Ohio State rolls here. I like the 12.5. I've already placed that bet, and I look for Ohio State big in this game.
Yeah, I agree. I agree that Ohio State should cover this, probably will cover it. I'm not going to bet the game, though, for this purpose. Penn State was leading that game against Indiana the whole time, or most of the game, pardon me. And then they give it up at the end. Generally speaking, when I see a team do that, and the next game, they usually play a tight game. Now, I'm not saying that's going to happen here. It generally does happen, but again, there's no crowd and so on, so I can't really gauge that. The numbers say Ohio State's going to cover, but for some reason, I just can't put my money on it. I don't know why. I wish you good luck, and I think Ohio State covers, but it's not something I can put my money on. What do you think about the total?
The total, it could go over here because, like I said, I think Ohio State's going to put up 40+. And I agree with you. I think this game could be tight in the first half. It wouldn't even surprise me if Penn State, is leading by a field goal or a touchdown at halftime. I could possibly see that happening, but I just think over 4 quarters, this Ohio State team is just too much. And like I said, with the chance of, cancellations and maybe not getting the full 8-game slate to prove a point to the committee, I just think Ohio State's going to take every chance. Whenever they can make a statement, they're going to make it. So I think they do it here. And like I said, I like Ohio State big. I like them by 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, listen, I don't disagree. They usually do pull away in the fourth quarter against anybody that stays close with them anyway. So I do see that reasoning, that logic. It opened at 11, if I'm not mistaken, up to 12.5 now. A lot of money coming in on Ohio State. A lot more will be coming in before the game kicks off. So again, I side with you. I'm not going to throw my money on it, but that's my opinion. I do see that happening.
All right, and we're going to go to another Big Ten game, and this is Michigan State at Michigan, and that is correct. Michigan State is getting 24.5 points at Michigan, and the total, I didn't put the total on here, but Michigan, I don't know, a rivalry game and 24.5. I mean, I don't know that Michigan's 24.5 points better than Michigan State here, and Michigan State did answer the question, how many turnovers does it take to lose to Rutgers? 7. They had 7 turnovers in that game against Rutgers. They were moving the ball, but they turned the ball over 7 times. You're not going to beat a high school football team turning the ball over 7 times. So can Michigan cover this game? I don't know. I think Michigan State, that being their first game, maybe they get some stuff dialed in. I'm not going to touch this game at all, but I have a hard time believing that Michigan State can't stay inside that 24.5.
Good analysis. This 24.5 looks like it's begging for Michigan State money, but I'm going to tell you one thing, okay? Michigan is going to absolutely blow out Michigan State. I'm taking Michigan minus 24.5. They're going to destroy them by 5 touchdowns. They're going to kill them. So, and I'm not a Michigan backer. I'm not a Harbaugh fan. I just looked at the numbers, and the numbers say Michigan is going to dominate and destroy from kick till the very end, and I promise you, Harbaugh's just going to keep killing them because he just has so much hatred towards the cross-state rivalry. So I'm going to play Michigan minus 24.5. I like them big, and I feel very confident about it.
Yeah, and again, I think these teams only having 8 games, they're not going to take their foot off the gas, and you could be right there. I mean, they could just if they're up 60-10, they probably won't stop scoring. So they have to make an impression. They have to, score as many points as they can. That's why I like Ohio State. And, that, like I said, the 7 turnovers in Rutgers is, I kind of agree with you. I think Michigan does, blow their doors off here. But the 7 turnovers at Rutgers, you didn't really get a good sense of Michigan State. So I just I'm off it here. So
the competition's better. They can't execute against better comp. They couldn't execute. Rutgers is a bottom dwelling team.
Yeah.
They may get a few victories because Shiano's back in town. Hey, I love Shiano, and I'm glad he's back in Rutgers to make them relevant again. But bottom line is Rutgers is not good, and they couldn't do anything against Rutgers. They're not doing anything against Michigan. Look. There's no lock, but I tell you this, I feel very confident Michigan's going to cover this 24.5.
Okay. Yeah, no, I could see that happening. Definitely. All right. So let's go to Kansas State at West Virginia. Kansas State getting 4, the over under here, 45.5. And this is my favorite game of the week. I love K-State in this situation here, getting 4. I think they're going to win the game outright. When I looked at it and I'm like, why is K-State getting 4 here? I mean, I know West Virginia's home, but I know their K-State's starting quarterback Skylar Thompson's out, so they brought Will Howard in, but he's done a good job at managing this offense. But K-State, they're good on defense. They can score on defense. They're good on special teams. They can score on special teams, and they're good on offense. They're good in all 3 facets. And this West Virginia defense, a lot of people are talking about their numbers, but I think they're kind of fraudulent. They played East Carolina, they played Kansas, and they played Baylor, and they had to go to double overtime to beat Baylor 27-21. So I love K-State in this game. West Virginia has played Oklahoma State and Texas Tech, and both of those offenses found plenty of room to move there. They gave up 200-yard rushers to Oklahoma State with Brown and Hubbard. So I think K-State, I don't know that K-State's going to go in there and win this game by double digits, but I think K-State wins this game. So if you're going to give me 4, I'm all over that. I'm going to take K-State plus the 4.
I don't disagree with you. I looked at the numbers and I'm like, I was thinking the same thing. Not only that, but the line moved from 3.5 to 4 with money coming in on K-State. Now their QB's out. Is that what you're saying? So
yeah, he's been out for. Yeah, I think he went out in the Texas Tech game. So Will Howard's been in there versus TCU, Kansas, and now going against West Virginia. So he's been fine. He's not as good, but he hasn't. He's been okay. He's been managing the offense and hasn't made big mistakes.
Yeah, and so I saw the little bit of movement when the limits were low before the limits increased midweek or whatever it was. But so I was a little baffled by it. And bottom line though, I looked at the numbers and K-State looks rock solid in this spot right now. So and I'm right, right there with you. West Virginia, it took them overtime to beat Baylor, to put Baylor down. And so, yeah, I just feel like Kansas State is the right side. Will I play it? I don't know. Will I put it on a teaser? I might. As far as the total.
Go ahead. Sorry about that.
I don't have a lean on the total. Your thoughts?
Yeah, no. Well, and the other thing is maybe people thinking, K-State's got Oklahoma State next week. So, maybe people are thinking they're going to look ahead, but I don't think they're looking past West Virginia.
On the road, I don't think so.
Yeah, and I think K-State is, for me, I've watched a lot of Big 12 games. I think Kansas State's the best team in the Big 12. I know a lot of people are on Oklahoma State, but I love Kansas State, and I can't wait for that game next week. Hopefully K-State does what I think they're going to do. They can handle this week, and they can get to that Oklahoma State, and Oklahoma State handles Texas. That'll be a really big game next week in the Big 12. So I love K-State here. Like I said, I'm going to probably play a little bit on the money line, but I'll definitely take in the 4 here. So
excellent. Okay.
All right. Our next game is the COVID game of the week, and that is Boston College at Clemson. Boston College getting 24. No Trevor Lawrence. I'm sure everybody's heard he is out with COVID, and thank God he doesn't play in the Big Ten because he'd be out for 3 weeks. So Clemson's kind of like Alabama. You just take Clemson and take the points. They seem to cover all the time. Alabama seems to cover all the time. So, I don't know how much Clemson's going to drop off here. They got a 96-man roster, and all those are probably 4- and 5-star guys. So I have a hard time thinking that Clemson's not going to cover this game just because Trevor Lawrence is out, and Boston College hasn't impressed me at all. So, I'm not going to do anything on this game, but if I had a lean, if I was doing anything, it would be Clemson.
Yeah, we threw this on here only because Trevor Lawrence is out, and we figured we should talk about it. Look, Boston College has covered some spreads this year. As a matter of fact, they might have the best spread record in college football. I think they do. I'm not mistaken. They've only not covered, I think, 1 time. That would tempt me to take the 24 points. I'd have to relook at the numbers, but with Trevor Lawrence out, I couldn't really gauge what they're going to do. How much does that change? So I wasn't going to bet the game before. I'm not going to bet it now, but I would lean Boston College plus the points, maybe even tease it up to 31. But again, I'd be scared because Clemson will steamroll somebody. But here's what I say also. Like, when I see a team like Clemson who usually steamrolls kind of stumble against Syracuse, they didn't stumble. They beat them by 20, whatever points, but they didn't cover that spread. And, when I see that, I think, okay, so Trevor Lawrence isn't back. Does the rest of the team tighten up and play, A-plus football with Trevor Lawrence out? Possibly. Dabo Swinney get them all locked up and ready to go? Possibly. But, again, it's not something I'm going to play. But I would look to Boston College, especially after what I saw last week and then Trevor Lawrence going out. Two negative signals against Clemson. Are they going to lose the game? No, they're not going to lose the game. Boston College, so 24 might be enough.
All right, our last game of the day is going to be Missouri getting 13 at Florida. Florida has been a good team this year on the offensive side of the ball. I don't really I haven't looked at this game, just in all honesty. I didn't look a lot at this game. So I'm not going to have a lean either way, but I know Florida, they got to keep winning because they're going to have a showdown against Georgia. And I'm sure that team's going to end up facing Alabama in the SEC championship game. So, just first thoughts looking at this game, I would probably say Florida covers the 13, but Missouri, they played a good game at LSU. So I know that they can score points. So like I said, I haven't really gone into the numbers. I haven't looked a lot at this game. So, but if you ask me to just make a pick almost blindly, I would lean Florida minus the 13, but I haven't done a lot on this game. So I need to stay off it and not give a pick, but I'll turn it over to you.
Yeah, this is a game I kind of like. In fact, I do like it so much that I'm going to put a bet in it. I was on Missouri last week as my pick of the week against Kentucky. They played two good games at home. I think they played steady enough. And then, Florida has a week off, but they did play in A&M and lost that game after leading. What does that mean? Florida should dominate. I like Missouri plus the points here. I think they hit the road. I don't think they win this game. I think it's maybe a 10-point game. I like points, and I'll take it. And I think Missouri plays a solid game. I don't think they're scared of anybody. I think that they're a team that has proven to themselves that they can win. I think they're prepared properly. I think they're scoring right, and they're on an even keel right now. Now, do they lose focus and lose their minds later in the season? Perhaps. Right now, though, I think Florida – how good is Florida? We really don't know. Again, they were leading Texas A&M. Texas A&M came back on them. And so I like Missouri to go into Florida, not win the game. I don't have an upset. That's not going to happen. I think Missouri loses the game. But I think they're playing with so much confidence right now, and their defense is playing well. I think even though they play Kentucky can't score, still they did score some points. They played steady, and that was after a win versus LSU, and they were favored versus they were a dog versus Kentucky. So, but I like the money. I like the points. You give me more points, I'm going to take them. I'm going to take my shot with Missouri, and I'm going to roll with them this week.
All right, yeah. So that's all the college football games.